Welcome to The Pulse, where we delve deep into the issues and ideas that are shaping the future of education. I'm your host, Rick Surrency, Superintendent of the Putnam County School District, and each week we'll be talking to teachers, administrators, and other experts in the field about the latest trends, best practices, and most pressing concerns in education. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just someone who cares about education, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the pulse. Hi, this is Rick Surrency. I'm the superintendent of the Putnam County School District, and I'm very honored today at having on our podcast two distinguished guests and two good friends of mine, R.J. Larizza, who is our local state attorney, and then Haley Harrison. And Haley is actually a public information officer for the that works alongside Mr. Larizza. So welcome to both of you, and tell me a little bit about yourself. I know we're going to talk a little bit about a little project we're working on, but Haley, why don't you start? Ladies first, and tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I do our public information as well as our community engagement. We're starting to amp up, our footprint in the community, working on, engaging with our kids on the front end especially. Engagement looks like everything, but we really have a focus on our kids. And so we're, out in the community more, as well as doing initiatives to kind of prevent juvenile crime and educate them as well.
So you're out front trying to do a lot of preventative work, right?
Yes, preventative and just plain old good community engagement as well.
That's great. It's good to have you. And I know we've worked a lot together. So, and thank y'all for driving in and doing our podcast today. And RJ, we're both elected officials, so it's going to be hard to keep us in all the time. I know, but it's great to have you here, and thank you for coming over. Tell me a little bit about some of the work you've been doing.
Well, I just got reelected. This starting my fifth term.
Yep.
Real excited about
Congratulations.
that. My career started back in the 80s. I was a probation officer for many years. But, now the folks that I hire to come to work for us, most of them weren't even born when I started my career. But no, this initiative, the Safety for Success, always was kind of born out of our Young Guns initiative. Mm-hmm. We saw so many kids arming themselves, stealing guns, trading guns, but most disturbingly, using them in crimes and shooting each other. I mean, we had kids killing kids. Yeah. Palatka's one example. That community just recently had some a triple shooting and double murder, which we're still investigating. So what we wanted to do, I'm good at prosecuting. We've got good prosecutors, but I wanted to try and help on the front end, to prevent, to try to get some of these kids educated, as Haley said, to what the consequences can be, and also how to avoid the pitfalls of being a teenager.
And didn't mean to interrupt you, but you've been very inclusive. I know you've invited all the superintendents, including myself,
yes, sir,
from the circuit, and we've met several times.
We have
brainstormed. We've gotten our student services directors involved, and really it's been a kind of work in progress. And I really salute the fact that both of you are looking at how we can prevent it, because when you and I both started in the 80s, this was something that we never had to deal with back then,
right,
or very little.
Yeah.
And but now it's kind of the way of our work now. So.
No, you and the other three superintendents of 7th Circuit, Putnam, Flagler, Volusia, and St. John's, and we've got buy-in from all of you. And what a difference that makes. You guys are great.
And I know we've been doing some public service announcement, and Haley, talk about some of that. I know you've been really engaging with, trying to get the message out. So talk to us about some of the stuff you've been doing, trying to get that message out.
Yeah, so we have 3 pillars. It's education, awareness, and accountability. And that awareness pillar has been a big focus of our office recently. We decided that as a group, we wanted to get 4 public service announcements out each school year. So we're working on our second one right now, and it's focused on the health impacts of vaping, because our 2 kind of focuses as far as juvenile crime prevention goes is that violence, so the gun violence and, just the plain old fighting at school, and then as well as substance use, so everything from vaping to fentanyl, because we're seeing fentanyl being, put into vapes or being used by kids. And so that's the second PSA, again, is going to be about the health impacts of vaping. And so for these different PSAs, they're going to be very topic-based. They're going to go out on social media, on our websites. It'll be filtered throughout the community, reaching parents and, community leaders, those who can spread awareness of this education we're trying to give to people. And it'll entail, different types of interviews of community members. So everyone from students, teens in our school districts, to experts. Like in this particular one, we interviewed the medical examiner in Volusia County, who kind of breaks down exactly how vaping impacts the body as we know now. And so we've interviewed next of kin, so families who've lost young children to violence. We've interviewed parents who've lost teens or young adults to substance use. We're really trying to hit all corners of how crime impacts, teens themselves, their families, and the community to kind of try to reach these kids. So.
Well, that's great. I mean, and I know vaping is a problem probably everywhere. I know it is in our schools, and we're trying to do everything we can to eliminate it, because it really is very unsafe, and we have to educate not only the kids but their parents. I think their parents probably allow that, not knowing the dangers of that. But R.J., what do you see as kind of the the end goal, or how do we know we're going to be successful? I mean, what are some things we're shooting for?
Well, we want to reduce the use of illicit drugs and substance abuse in the schools, certainly. We want to inspire kids, your kids, the kids that you are responsible for in the other three counties, to inspire other kids, kind of get that snowball effect going to make good decisions. Also, quite frankly, I'm a prosecutor and I'm a law enforcement officer, and also those kids who insist on committing crimes and resort to gun violence or resort to selling drugs, kids die from that. We're going to prosecute them, and we're going to get them off the street. So we're really trying to attack this problem from all angles. We want to be compassionate and help the folks we can, but we're going to bring the hammer down on the folks that insist on engaging in violent and just serious criminal activity.
Yeah. And again, in my experience, this is my 46th year in education, and I haven't seen it quite like this in all my years. And I know that we're dealing with a lot of stuff, violence that we've never really experienced before. So I salute you really for taking this initiative and really involving our school district. So any other circuits around that that are doing similar things that you're aware of?
Well, I know some folks have been talking about it, and one of my goals is to make this a statewide initiative with your help, Rick, and I know you support that. I know you and the other superintendents have been talking to your colleagues in other counties, and we need to get the director of education or commissioner of education involved, and I think I can get the other state attorneys involved. And I mean, you think about that. This is an initiative that really needs to go statewide and then nationwide.
Yeah.
I think we're on the cutting edge of this. Rick.
Well, and you and I both have people in Tallahassee we can talk to, and I think showing some success and really getting it out there and showing how we're making some type of impact is going to be really good. So what are some other ways in the future that you see that we might be able to educate people and really make them aware of that? What are some ideas that you have?
Yeah, so our education pillar is going to be another focus that we're after we get that second PSA out there that we're going to really focus on, and that's getting a state attorney video component inside the classroom. So this will encompass a bunch of the interviews that we're gathering to hit on a number of topics and kind of implement that in that 5 hours of required education that you guys have through the state. So we're going to reach kids through that as well. And I know we've discussed, doing assemblies and, making some partnerships with other community organizations like DJJ, our sheriff's offices, et cetera, in order to, expand our reach to the kids and maybe get some different voices inside the classroom in an assembly fashion. So I think, that's a good start is with these videos and some in-person engagement with the kids. I think that's, going to be a good way to reach them.
Kids really like to hear from other kids. And if you have some kids on there, I think it really resonates with them.
Yes. We've interviewed some as well. And, we definitely would be open, obviously, to getting some inside the classroom as well in person or in assemblies to reach them as well in that manner.
I know another component of this, we've involved our staff, specifically the staff, like my student services director, people who are involved in the front lines of this. And I know we've been looking at our code of conduct and other policies to try to see, are we kind of on the same page there and trying to be consistent.
Right.
And we've taken a hard look at some of the stuff we're doing. So I think it's really given us a chance to look at what we are doing and collaborating with our colleagues in the Seventh Circuit. And really, I salute you for doing that, because I think it really is something that we can't teach kids. Kids can't learn unless they feel safe.
Oh, no, and I tell you, you guys, the 4 superintendents, it's heartwarming to see y'all get together and compare notes and the progress we've made. I think we've already seen reductions in some of the vaping use. I mean, we've had kids overdose. We've had kids die that were vaping fentanyl. That was the vaping liquid or whatever laced with fentanyl. But one of the things we've talked about, I think we getting the kids involved. We want to get a podcast. Remember, we talked about that
I would
too.
love to do that.
Having the kids do a podcast, because look, they see this old man coming up there talking to them, and I might scare them a little bit sometimes. But I want somebody that can connect with them on their level too, and getting kids talking to kids.
Yeah.
I think Haley got the SWAT group from out of was it Flagler?
Flagler and Volusia. We got some SWAT students. They have a couple clubs in their counties that spoke on vaping and substance use, which was great. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I remember several years ago we had a really active SWAT group in Putnam County, and again I don't have the numbers, but I think a lot of our tobacco use has been lessened. But of course, they're substituting, the vaping and that type of thing, which is not good. So. The other thing I want to salute you on is for a number of years, you have done the poster contest.
Crime Stoppers, yeah.
Crime Stoppers. And again, that really looks at really our elementary kids especially.
Oh, I tell you, elementary, middle, and high. And getting the kids involved, it's wonderful to see their talent. And especially on the elementary school level. But our theme is see it, say it, stop it. And as you well know, Rick, we've also been struggling. We've discussed this, all of us, about the school threats and how disruptive that is, and also the impact it has on these kids. When you're constantly shutting the school down or having a bomb threat and having to get them out. So that's another area that we focused on with your leadership, and so I'm excited about the education part. Look, this is what can happen to you. The educate them about the consequences, but also, you know what? We need to try and get some of these kids interested in maybe a law enforcement profession. Yeah. We're going to open up internships, externships, that kind of thing, and I'm sure that there are students also that might be interested in pursuing an educational career as well. So I know we've talked about that too.
The thing I like about law enforcement, especially with our school resource officers, is really establishing that relationship and knowing that police officers are not always there just to arrest you and to pull you if you're speeding and all that.
Right.
They are there to help you in creating that relationship where if they know something going on, they can feel like they can go talk to an officer.
Trust.
And that trust factor. So that's tremendous. And I think your poster contest really sets a good tone for how law enforcement is really trying to communicate that.
We actually interviewed one of your school resource officers for our video work, and he was wonderful. And just seeing him walk around the hallways and high five kids, it was really cool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that's what their goal is, and we always try to get. I know the sheriff and I work together, and we always try to hire officers who really want to work alongside kids and not be the bad guy, but really get to know kids where kids do have that trust in them.
No, I saw a gentleman speak one time, and he talked about he saw a mom bring her son in, and he was in his uniform, and And mom said, see that man, if you're bad, they're going to lock you up. And he came to her and said, please don't tell him that. Tell him how we protect and how we serve, and tell him how that we'll always be there if they need us to help them in their time of need.
Yeah.
You know, and that's exactly what you were saying. I think we want kids to respect, appreciate, and have meaningful relationships, positive relationships with law enforcement.
You know, over my years, and I've been a principal for a number of years, you know, kids want to be safe. And I've had kids that have that trust to come and tell us when other students have something with them or on them that might hurt other students or hurt themselves. And I think when we get to the point where kids, they can have at least one trusted adult in that school they can go to and share if they're having a concern. And not that we're trying to get them to snitch, but we're trying to get them to protect other students and let us know when there is an issue.
See something, say something.
Right. And we do have, you know, with a lot of our electronics and our, you know, the phones and all, we have students have a way they can alert anonymously too. But we have kids that will go up and they'll actually tell people when they have a concern. So as we're wrapping up today, what do we see the next, what comes next in our initiative right now? What do you see as the next steps? I know you've got some PSAs.
Yeah. So we're going to get our second PSA out regarding the health impacts of vaping. We're going to really finish up that long video that we would love to put in the classroom and implement in the required mental health education. I know it's not called that anymore, but it used to be called that. And, you know, reach kids that way too, because, you know, we hope the parents and the community members see the PSAs that'll go online, but that video inside the classroom will be something that we think will be a great resource for kids to learn as well. And then, you know, again, hopefully some assemblies and some growth with additional partnerships in the community. Get some additional faces, some teens in there speaking to the kids. I think it will be.
I love the
huge
podcast
impact.
with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll definitely.
We got to make that happen.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to do 4 PSAs. We've already done one when we launched our Safety First Success Always initiative. We're on the cusp of the other one. We're one more interview. I'm real excited about our video. We've interviewed a lot of people, a lot of really big cases that are going to come out that we've dealt with that I think will be impactful. Plus, we got 2 more PSAs to do. I think 4 total for the year is our goal.
Yes, sir.
And we're growing all the time, Bub, with your ideas and leadership, and put that by 4 with, you know, all 4 superintendents. I expect great things coming.
And I actually work closely with superintendents, and I joke with them a lot of times. Normally, when there's a hurricane, we're on the phone talking to each other to see, are you closing? Are you closing? But to be able to work on this is very gratifying, and
Yeah.
I just appreciate the opportunity. And I appreciate your leadership, R.J. I mean, I think you're taking the initiative to try to be preventative and really on a wide scale. So I salute you for doing that. And
Thank you.
by the way, congratulations on your reelection.
Same to you.
Yep. And
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we both been there. So
Yeah, I just want to say too, it's been an honor working with, you know, RJ the last 3 years, and just being able to like step into this like sort of new area for office, really expanding our community engagement has been wonderful. And we know, you know, our goals, and we know we can't do it without you guys, you know, the superintendents and the school district. So we really appreciate y'all's partnership and just the, you know, not only the ability, but the willingness to work with us and to reach these kids. So.
well, as far as I know, this is the first time, at least in my experience, that we've come together like this under the direction of the state attorney. So to me, I just salute you in taking that initiative, and Haley, all the work you're doing. So I see nothing but great things happening, and we will definitely have you back again when we have some additional information to share.
Yeah,
So,
it'd be
All
great.
right. Thank you, sir.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
And we will see you at our next podcast. Have a great day.